And thank you so much. It's such a joy to have all of you here this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, we are grateful and we're thankful to have all of you on the call today. On this session, we're going to have two panels for today. And the first panel is going to focus on the Black Entrepreneurship Loan, the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Funds. And at the next session, we're going to have the Black Founders Initiative. And so the Black Founders Forum will focus on, the pain points, some of the small business gaps that people have experienced over the months, over the couple of years. And we have a group of small businesses and entrepreneurs and founders in the room with us today that will be talking about sharing some of their insights, sharing some of their experience, how they have actually not only survived, but they have actually pivoted their businesses, in this season, right through the pandemic. And so we're going to get an opportunity to listen to this group of founders in our midst today. However, before we go to that particular segment of the program today, we're going to start with the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Funds. And we have with us in the room today a group of small businesses. We have bankers in the room. We have entrepreneurs. We have professionals also with us in the room. And so we have a group of experts today that will be sharing insights with us. They'll be answering your questions, particularly because we also understand that the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Fund, since it was launched on the 31st of May, has received a total of over 10,000 applications. Of these applications, the feedback is being awaited. However, we understand that most of the businesses that have applied so far might just not qualify because of a few other gaps and a few other other issues with some of the applications that have been submitted up to today. And so today is an opportunity for each one of us in the room today to ask a few of those questions, talk about some of the gaps that have been experienced so far, talk about some of the issues that they had with a few of those applications, and what kind of remedial actions need to be taken. We're going to hear from some of the bankers, we're going to hear from some of our small businesses, and then a few of the other professionals in the room today will also add a few insights to this. And so those are the two parts of the meeting we'll have today in those two sessions. However, even within the segments that we have identified today, we're going to also have a segment dedicated specifically to the launch of the Black Entrepreneurship Initiative, an initiative that actually seeks to address some of the pain points that small businesses within the Black community have experienced. A meeting like today is not a time to actually talk about some of our challenges and all the gaps that we have. I'm sure a 10-year-old can come into the room and keep talking and talking and talking about the crisis, about the challenges, about the gaps, about the issues of systemic racism, and so on, that our community has experienced so far. Today is about solutions. Today is about access. Today is about how to create access, how to create solutions, and how to plug the gaps that we have experienced so far. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to say, sit back, use this opportunity as was mentioned during the intro, use this opportunity, to invite your friends and share the link with as many people as you think need to be on the call today. I'm going to bring Yannick up, and I believe Yannick is with us now. And Yannick is going to, moderate this first panel. Okay, there you go. Welcome, Yannick. And so maybe I'm just going to turn it to you, Yannick, so you can introduce your panel for this first session. And I guess maybe each person would actually, share a few comments before we get started. But in the room today, we have friends from TD Bank. We have Ade, our friend also, who was a senior executive at BDC, who is now with from Crown Bank, the Crown Corporation in Canada. and he's also with us in the room today. Yannick himself was actually one of the group leads, if I remember now, group managers at TD Bank also. And we have Temi in the room today, one of the founders that have been able to pivot her business even in a pandemic like this. So she's not only been able to survive, the pandemic, but she's also thriving now with orders and deliveries. I'm told she will deliver, share some of the insights, and then need to run after she's shared some of those insights on what specific things she did. And so Temi's joining us from Nova Scotia, and we have Roderick in the room, joining us all the way from Rwanda. Just founded Wesi during the pandemic. And so we thought it would be useful to us for people to come and share what they did during the pandemic also, as difficult as it appeared to be, while also learning how to get these applications through, and then what businesses we can actually latch onto. So sit back and enjoy the session today while we get started. Over to you, Yannick. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you, Dr. Tui. Welcome everyone for again this fourth session on the Black Entrepreneurship programs, which was a program launched by the federal government with several streams. And today we're going to be talking about the Black Entrepreneurship Loan. I know, being part of the previous session, that this program was very well, a lot of small businesses were sort of waiting for this program, and so I'm sure this information is going to be very useful. And so I'm going to be moderating the first panel, which is really a panel with some of the stakeholders from banks and from other agencies that are involved in delivering the loan program. So we have today Brian Phipps from TD Bank, I believe. And also we have Ade Akimbola from another agency, BDC, I believe. So before we get started, I would like Brian and Ade to introduce themselves and maybe give us a little bit of an idea of what they do. Over to you, Brian.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Brian.
Awesome, thank you. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. My name is Brian Phipps. I work for TD Bank. I've had a curious journey in the bank. I started off, getting my foot in the door. So working from teller to financial service representative to financial advisor to currently the account manager for small business banking. So my role in the bank is to support small business customers with their operational needs to help find the products and solutions best to match their operational activities. So that's a little bit about myself, and I've currently been with the bank for 8 years.
Thank you, Brian. Ade, do you want to go next?
Yes, thank you, Yannick. My name is Ade Akimbola. I have over 20 years banking and finance experience spanning over 4 continents. Currently, in Canada, I work with Business Development Bank as a senior relationship manager from small loans to the mid-market size loans. And the last 2 years, I've been working with Farm Credit Canada, the only bank dedicated to financing the agri-food and agri-business sector in Canada. And currently I lead a team and I'm a senior commercial and corporate banking manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Ade. So just before we start, we've collected or collated a few questions from participants. So I'm going to go over those questions. And also, obviously, we have some additional questions that would be coming up. And so our team will make sure that we we can fill in those questions and we can ask those questions. But before we start, maybe just a little bit of again, a recap of the program based on the latest announcement from the government. So the program is really meant to allow small businesses, Black-owned businesses, to have access to loans. And I believe, the loans are, between, $5,000 to I believe $10,000, managed by I believe FACE, and also between 20,000 and a bit of 100,000. There's two regional or small community banks that are managing those. Above $100,000 and 200,000, I believe right now, BDC is helping with that stream, and I believe beyond that we'll get some involvement from the banks. And so for now, I mean, 10,000 applicants. So we probably all know that to apply for the loan, you have to go through the FACE website and fill out your information about your company and your business. I guess the first question I have for you both, in terms of the program, have you been involved with the program? What have you seen? And maybe if you can give, one or two tips to potential SMEs owners who are looking to apply for the program. I'm going to start with Ade, and then move on to Brian.
Thank you, Yannick. If I understand you correctly, you wanted me to speak about the program, or?
Yes, correct. Just high level, yeah, on your side.
Yes, so what my organization is doing about the program, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. I think Dr. Yolade will be handling that aspect about the specifics of the programs, but I can speak generally about processes of working the loan application through, and tips about how businesses can better position themselves to be able to get a favorable response to their applications. And I think Dr. Yolade will deal with that, and I'll come in later to speak about that, if that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Right. Thank you so much, Yannick, for your question. And in terms of the BEP program, we gave an update at the last session we had. And the last session, we focused largely on the loan funds, the launch of the loan funds, and the total that is available now, and the institutions that will be managing. And in terms of the management, since the 31st of May, FACE, the organization incorporated and duly constituted by the government of Canada, took over, the administration, receiving applications from the general public and small businesses as in regards the BLF. That's a Black Entrepreneurship Loan Fund. This particular loan fund is the third segment, amongst three pillars, beginning with the Black Entrepreneurship National Ecosystem Fund, which was launched in December of 2020. And then the Black Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub Fund, which was opened up also in January of 2021. So this is the last part of it. And, just a quick update for the benefit of those who are joining us for the first time in the room. And so the first two sets, application opened, application has closed. A lot of small businesses have done the application, submitted duly, and we're waiting a feedback in this regard. However, for the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Fund, the BELF, a total of 350 million now launched, applications have opened. And so the expectation is that small businesses that are eligible will send in their applications. The full update from that is what I provided earlier in my opening remarks, that about 10,000 applications have been received so far. And we are getting indications that a lot of people, a lot of small businesses might not qualify in this first segment because of the eligibility criteria, because of the inadequacy of the reports that have been sent in, because a few, there are issues of regulatory requirements, general things that banks would ordinarily request in the process of, processing a loan, tax filings, full incorporation, and so on and so forth. And of course, that's one of the reasons why we have the bankers in the room with us today, so that they can now speak to that as small businesses begin to open up and send in applications. What exactly should they be looking at? What normally would banks, generally speaking, ask from small businesses that are looking to apply? Indeed, the expectation is that for this particular segment, there might be some, some concessions here and there, but it is very clear. Banking is banking. And so due, regulatory requirements, due reports have to be filed. They have to be sent in. And so we expect that we would share a few of these insights coming from the bankers in the room with us today. In addition to that, we're also aware of the fact that a few people are looking to understand what they can now do, because earlier on, at the launch of this particular product, it was clarified that they will be for terms of 4 to 5 years per the website of the Government of Canada. But now, on the 31st of May, it was announced that the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Fund will be open to all Black businesses in our community. Well, I don't want to use the word maybe in perpetuity, it will be open. It has no expiration, as it were. So it's left open so that we can now go do our books, put our books in proper focus, and then be ready, to now get everything in. So this is actually our expectation, and this is what we're looking to have on the Black Entrepreneurship on the Black Entrepreneurship Fund. So that's the update we have as we speak today. So I would stop here and then allow Yannick to ask the bankers in the room, which is the reason why they're here, to clarify a few of these issues. What should we be doing? Because I know that a lot of questions were sent in about how should we put our books in place, what will be required of us, normally typical loans, what should we prepare for, what should we be expecting? And of course, I will also be able to clarify other issues and details that I have on the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Fund. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Brian, do you want to maybe add something generally in terms of loan application for SMEs based on your experience? Yes, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Can hear you.
Yeah, everybody can hear me.
I'm not sure if we lost Yannick's connection there. Can you,
okay. Brian, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, just go ahead.
Sure, yes, I got your question. So when it comes to banking, we typically look at the 3 C's of credit, we would say, would be capacity, collateral, and character. So we really want to see when it comes to our business customers, have they prepared a well thought out plan, assessed any situations that may impact their income to see if they're able to support the financing. We look at the collateral to see what are we financing against, to see the strength of the assets that we're providing the loans for. And then we also look at the character. So it's very important to see how our business owners have managed their obligations in the past. Within the small business banking channel, personal guarantees are included, which means we take a look into all personal obligations and how they've been taken care of. How is your credit score? Is it a strong credit score? How leveraged are you currently? So at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we don't put you under financial duress. So it's important to understand those key points.
Thank you, Brian. So I'm going to move on then to some of the questions that we got from the audience. So I guess The first one is, which types of organization and businesses can your banks really support to get access to SME loans? Are startups qualified, or is this only for established businesses? So who wants to take this one?
I think, Yannick, I can take this one off.
Okay, sounds good, Ade, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I want to add something to what Brandon said when it comes to what is really critical when we look at application, whether at small level or at corporate level. Cash flow, it all comes down to the cash flow. Cash is king. For a startup, the bank will be asking for projections, 3 to 5 years projections. That means when it's a startup, there's no history for the entity, whichever entity you set up. Trading as a sole proprietorship, set up a sole proprietorship structure, incorporated entity, the list goes on. Irrespective of the structure, you need to be sure that when you put your projections together, your cash flow is able to, the cash flow you put together is able to service the loan, because you might have collateral, you might have a great business idea, but when you put up the cash flow, which is what the bank is focusing on, which is what is going to pay back this money, and you see a lot of gaps in some of these projections, there's a big issue there, okay? You have to make sure that the cash flow you have put together, if you think you're going to make 1 million in the first year, you have to do your research and know that businesses, at times we see projections that businesses are put together, you discover that they haven't done their research. Maybe we've seen a similar company that has been operating for 5 years, making 500,000 a year. And you're seeing somebody putting a cash flow together, a statement together saying, in the first year, I'm going to hit $1 million and I'm going to make a profit of 300,000. And you can see businesses will be in that same sector for about 5 years. They're not even hitting those numbers. Immediately, you know that something is wrong here. And something I still want to emphasize a little is what Brian said, which is your personal side, your credit score, your personal profile, how you've been able to manage your personal finances. At times, you see a business that makes sense, the cash flow makes sense, but maybe the owners of this business, they've been maybe in collections previously. They've not been paying their credit card bills, they've not been meeting their commitment. And then their credit score is just not there. Then there's a big challenge with that. Now, Yannick, just coming back to your question, which is, what kind of organization can we really support? Is that correct?
Yes, specifically, are startups qualify, or is this just for established businesses?
Yes, they do. Startups and established businesses do qualify.
Okay.
But what you need when you're a startup is that you need to make a business stick together. Your business plan will be the one speaking for you, which is what I was saying about projections and cash flow. Because you don't have any track record, you don't have any history, okay? You're just bringing the idea on paper. Like an existing business, a business that has been existing for a few years, you have your last 2 years financial statement, income statement and balance sheet, right? To actually talk to whichever institution you are approaching, they will see the numbers of how you've been doing, and they can prove the cash flow of what kind of loan such a business can take, based on the cash flow they're able to see from the financials, right? Based on the income the business is making, they can know, okay, you can be able to carry a $250,000 loan for established entity. But if it's a startup, you're making a case of what you're going to do in the future. In that case, who we're dealing with matters most. And it's one of those things, but who we're dealing with, because we're giving the money to the owner in trust, because everything is futuristic. Everything you want to do according to your business plan and projections, we're talking about the future, which is why more focus is going to go into how you've been managing your finances, your background. For example, you see people putting a business together and they see there's no connection between the business and the would-be entrepreneur's background, right? Because there's no connection. Maybe I'm not an engineer. I want to go into and set up something in that area. Then I have to be making a case of my partners, maybe one of the key owners of the business. Maybe I know banking and management and how to coordinate, look after the finances. Somebody needs to handle the technical side. I cannot run with such an idea on my own, even if it makes sense. So these are all the things we're going to be looking into in business when we look at the business plan. How reasonable is this? How realistic is this? Does it make sense? Is there chances that this is going to really succeed, or is it dead on arrival?
Thank you, Ade. Next question. And it's a little bit in line with what you were talking about, specifically around startups and financial projections. And so this question is somebody who I think applied before, right? And were turned down due to no history, track record. Now the question is, okay, if the business idea is great, how can we prepare the company to really become loan ready?
That's a very, very good question. Yannick, this is a great question because I see that a lot. Okay, and from my experience, this is where will-be entrepreneurs give up. Okay, because you're going to initially when you are going out, you should be prepared for that no, because at times maybe we can't think at your level, maybe we can't see what you're saying. There's always a disconnect there from my experience, because I've seen some ideas we've turned out in the past, they've turned out well. I've seen maybe because the person might get some personal funding to support him or herself, and 2-3 years after we've said no, we are chasing that business to do business with us, right? And maybe we turned business down 3 years ago. Okay, so just because at times we can, because from my experience dealing with entrepreneurs, it's like a dream. Like if something is revealed to you of what is going to happen in 2 years, and it revealed to you as a person today, you're trying to share it with somebody. It can't be like the person carrying the dream, right? Okay, you might share with me, I might not believe, but somebody that got that revelation or that idea will hold on to it, and they want to make it happen at all cost, whether you believe in it or you don't believe in it, because they are really convinced. So I think the way to go is not to give up. Number one, don't give up that dream because a bank is saying no, or they don't believe in what you want to do. It's not a validation of whether your idea is good or not. That's the point I want to make, because we've been wrong. When I say we, bankers, we've been wrong a few times, so many times, okay? And then there are examples out there. Even the big Fortune 500 companies, a lot of them have been turned down in the past. But to your question of what to do, number one, don't give it up, okay? Now, look at number one, you can raise funds through friends and family, and scale down your dream, right? Maybe you want to launch out in the whole, globally from day one. Maybe you try and do maybe my own little place in Mississauga first, right? Or maybe scale down your idea to the one you can deal with and start moving, okay? And then maybe you come back and say, hey, this is what I've been able to do with $10,000. And then we see what impact has been able to, the returns of that. And then we're seeing a little bit of traction. Another thing that I see most businesses do, okay, is to diversify the ownership of the business, right? They look for people who have money, and then they can come into the business. Maybe when I registered this business, I wanted to own it 100%, right? Now the bank has said no to me. Maybe I need to look for somebody like you with track record, experience in other things. Maybe I can give you 20% of the business. Maybe you can bring me 50,000. I'm bringing your profile into the business. Oh, you work in TD. Okay, this guy has been a risk guy with TD. I think it can be part of something that is not going to fly. Okay, I see a lot of people do that the second time, which is change the structure, bring some people that the bank can connect with their profile. Maybe when I was launching out, maybe I was running my own thing all over my life, or maybe where I was working, I was just earning $25,000 an hour when I caught this vision to set up this business. Then my profile cannot impress the bank. I may probably not have the collateral. Excuse me. I may probably not have the collateral. I may probably not have huge savings. Okay. So if I can look for somebody with good profile, and then I can be able to make, and the person can bring in a little bit of money, and then we can maybe write another business plan and reposition our idea. At that point in time, the bank might be a little interested to look into it further. Most times, you get a different answer.
Okay, these are very good tips, Ade, and I kind of very much agree with that. Really understanding why and changing your profile, and coming back to make sure that you can have a different answer the next time. We have a few questions coming up on YouTube and on the chat here, so I'm going to go to some of them because they're quite interesting. The first one is, how does FACE interact with banks through the loan disbursement? I'm missing something here, and I'm just quoting here. After you apply on FACE and get a response, are the funds coming from the government or the bank? So I don't know who can take that.
I will take that.
Okay.
Yeah, the idea then is that FACE will be the collating center. Mm-hmm. And, the idea is once the applications are submitted to FACE, and FACE, BDC will be that, BDC is that partner that actually reviews those transactions, and then, mm-hmm. the updates in conjunction with FACE. And so they will get those updates across to FACE. But the idea is that proper reviews will be done, qualifications will be determined, eligibility rather will be determined. And then of course, FACE will be coming back to all their applicants. That's our understanding from the various sessions that have been held on this. However, whilst there are micro loans also. So it depends on whatever category you're talking about. The 10,000 to 25,000 loans are being managed by Alterna Savings and Bank City. So they're called micro loans, and they will be the ones handling all of those loans. And BDC will be handling loans above 100,000. So it's 100,000 to 250 because that's the limit for all the loans. So this is the current structure. However, I believe FACE is taking a lot of feedback from various, small business community members that they've been speaking to over the months. Over the last few weeks that this opened up. And so I expect that they will come back on updates and feedback. But the timelines have not been determined. They've not been announced to anyone. We're just waiting. All right. Okay. So that's the current structure.
Thank you, Doctor. Another question. How is getting this loan any different than working into a bank and applying for a loan? I don't know if maybe Brian, you want to take a shot at this.
Hi there. I don't think it is much different in terms of the process. With the bank, FACE is acting as a triage, so they essentially review and they vet the applicants to make sure that they meet lending requirements, and then we would process the applications accordingly. So in essence, it's important to make sure that you have a full understanding of your business, to make sure that you understand your obligations, the time frame, how you're going to repay it. It's important to, just as Adi said earlier, to make sure that you make sure you have the capacity, the collateral, the character to support the application. So prepare as you would for any loan, and make sure that you come prepared with your research when processing the application.
Okay, thank you. And do we know, I don't know if we can answer this one, but do we have a sense of some of the rates that are going with these loans, like the interest rates?
Well, at the moment for the banks, this is phase one. So phase one is being handled by Van City and Alterna. So unfortunately, we don't have the rates available.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Brian. So moving on to another question. Does your bank offer other types of loans, short-term equity, long-term loans, and how can we qualify for a specialized loan? I guess this is for you, Brian, again. Yeah. Or even Ade.
Okay, maybe I can go for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we do. Like I told you, my organization, we are fully vested in food, Farm Credit Canada, and we are the largest, we're the biggest when it comes to the agri-food and agri-business sector in Canada. We offer everything from property loans, real property, to equipment and inventory, expansion and construction loans, startup and diversification loan, working capital loans, mergers and acquisition, syndicated lending at the corporate level, stretch debt and cash flow financing. So we offer a whole lot depending on the client's need.
Thank you, Ade. So another question for the purpose of a loan, this question is from somebody who runs a social enterprise. What is the category of social enterprise? Are all of them eligible? Anyone?
Yes.
Yes.
In my organization, it's only for profit.
Okay.
So yes, it's purely for profit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I can add to that. Yoni?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, an answer to the social enterprise. Yeah. As long as it's a for-profit organization. So yes, if you're generating revenue, you're eligible to apply. Now, this is even for startup companies also. Remember that it's clearly defined that startup companies will also be allowed to send in their applications as long as they have their financial projections. So they do understand that if you're a startup company, you would not have your financial statements duly filed as it's normally expected of well-established companies. However, for startups, your financial projections for the period that this will be running for is very critical. So this is the expectation. You file it alongside the application. But of course, as it is with all the applications when it comes to banks and so on, the issue then is there are a few other things that they would want to see. Maybe the structure, who is on your team, what have you done, is there some experience, and so on. So these factors are also very critical so that we're not just rushing. Usually when I get on panels like this, I usually advise, offer a piece of advice, and that's, in this particular situation, this has become open-ended when there's no expiration date. Our understanding is that the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Fund is here to stay, and they're looking at partners that will be coming on board. For instance, this 350 million, the first part of it is phase one of the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Fund, and that's because BDC has contributed a total of 130 million. And the combination of Altana Savings and the Bank City and so on have also contributed huge amounts in addition to the 33 million of the government of Canada. And so there are about 3 or 4 banks, including TD, including BDC, including Scotia, RBC, banks that are going to come on, and CIBC, that are coming on board in the second phase. They haven't even announced the amounts that they're putting together. But for a few people that might be aware, RBC has already announced the 100 million Black Entrepreneurship Fund that is being managed and disbursed through Futurepreneur for startups and businesses run by people aged 18 to 39. So that is already in place and it's already been launched, but they're going to also contribute to the Black Entrepreneurship Fund, so loan fund. So that second phase is yet to be announced by this group of banks. And we expect that because they are banks, we expect that they'll be able to manage this particular second session, phase 2 themselves. That's our expectation. That's what we're thinking, particularly because I see so many questions coming on today, to the extent that will banks be sending them to phase to manage the funds, or to apply through phase to get to a bank, and so on. So I think for those ones asking such questions, there's a need to hold on until those banks announce the modalities, the modus operandi of their own intervention. So I'm sure they will be coming back to us to tell us what exactly, and we'll bring them back again. They're just here this afternoon to clarify some of the issues, some of the gap issues that people have experienced in the process of applying for the first part. When the second one is announced, they will come back. Thank you, Jan.
Perfect. Thank you, Doctor. Another question, maybe, I guess, for you. Can foreign business partner with Canadian business to access loan? If so, would it be a third? Do you want to get that one, Dr. Toyi? Your mic.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
So the question is, can foreign business partner with Canadian businesses to access the loan?
Okay. No, for this particular one, this is a Canadian intervention.
Canadian only.
The fact that Black entrepreneurs is a dedicated intervention for Black entrepreneurs.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Moving on to the next question. Is it possible for a business which has been awarded and approved for the loan to acquire additional funding from a traditional financial institution if business needs may require a loan more than the maximum $250,000 allowed?
I can take this one.
Okay.
Yeah, when it comes to lending with multiple institutions, you can. We have the capacity to support financing where there are a variety of different products. For instance, you may start your business with the Canadian Small Business Financing Loan, which helps entrepreneurs existing and new businesses to obtain financing for their startup. And then on top of that, you may need additional financing. We can look at other traditional products to offset the difference. Really, we have to look at your company's capacity to support all the financing that is being requested. So you may be able to, but it all depends on, at the end of the day, the capacity to support.
Okay. Ade, you wanted to add something to that. Thanks, Brian.
I think it covered everything.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So the next one, are banks taking collateral for loans? Are the loan to be collateralized by other entities?
I can quickly just take that away.
Okay.
Banks taking collateral for loans? Yes. Okay. Because it's the second, we call it exit position, secondary exit. Because if you give money, the risk is there that it might not work out as planned. Then what's the fallback position? So that's yes. And then are the loans to be collateralized by other entities? It depends on the structure that we are looking at. Depends on the structure of the loan. Yes, that may be yes. That one depends on the structure, right? The structure of the whole application we're looking at. But most of the time, yes, it could be.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just a reminder that we have about I would say 10 minutes, 9 to 10 minutes left for this panel. Moving on, we have a few other questions that I think I've just the team to let me know if we have more questions coming from YouTube or other channels. I'm gonna go on to the next one here, which I think was answered already, but what is the role of the delivery partner at the outset? So what about their future role? Maybe Dr. Toying, you want to take this? I'm assuming here we're talking about, FACE, the credit unions, and Dr. Toying?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
The idea then is that, the delivery partners would actually be supporting. And so you have partners that are coming up, and they will actually be dedicated to specific regions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the whole idea. They will come up as,
okay.
And as regional partners, they will actually be also helping to manage, to monitor, to train, to offer advisory services and so on. Such things as we're doing right now. That's actually what they will do on an ongoing basis. That's the national ecosystem partners that are coming up. Remember that very first pillar that they applied, people sent in applications for. The current group managing the FACE, under FACE right now, I think the definition is that they would work with the banks to ensure proper disbursements of these loans and to ensure that they collate all the applications, use the data also for future purposes where Black businesses are able to get the right data and statistics on their markets and the people that operate in each of these markets. So these are some of the roles that they are expected to play. But the national ecosystem partners that are expected to come up and be announced later will be like regional partners helping to facilitate disbursement, because this is an ongoing thing, and offer some support services.
Okay, thank you. So another question, it's regarding the feedback that we've been getting so far. So I think you mentioned earlier that there was about 10,000 applications, that there were some issues with some of them not meeting requirements. Are there communication between the delivery partners at the moment and those applicants? Do you have an idea of what is that interaction looking like at the moment? Okay, thank you. So another question.
So the idea then is that they will be revisiting some of this. So that's the expectation largely, that until we get an announcement and get an update, we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed to know who is doing what and how. Who has gotten what, who hasn't gotten what. But what is very clear from the website of the government in all of this information update that we have received so far is that people will also get an opportunity to send in applications to other institutions, to other government programs, and so on. And so we would keep everyone informed as all of these updates are released to our community and so on. I'm sure some of the banks in the room with us today also, I'm sure they can allude to the fact that there's been so much information. And so since they are also planning that phase 2, I believe that the rollout is also being planned, and although it's yet to be announced, I'm sure a lot of work is going on behind the scenes. And so there will be another opportunity even when phase 2 comes on. So it's not like the door is closed. That's my understanding of the program, because the program is actually put in place to help and support Black businesses. But of course, as much as you need to support Black businesses, you want to make sure that they're also put in the right, they have the right structure, the policies guiding all that is being done, so that they become business that are sustainable in the long term. So that's the whole idea.
Thank you, Doctor. So these are all the questions that we've received. I don't know if you want to, maybe each one of you, maybe one minute, again, just piece of advice for the aspiring entrepreneurs or SME owners in terms of the loans applications and how to set themselves up to get access to that money. So Brian, I'm going to start with you, then Ade, and then Dr. Tori. 30 seconds.
Hi there, sure, thank you. I think some of the most important things when it comes to being prepared for financing with a bank is preparing yourself well in advance, doing the research, connecting with your accountant or business consultant to make sure that you assess any situation that may come up when it comes to your business plan. You want to make sure that you have adequate down payment, because the banks will also like to see as an expression, skin in the game. You want to make sure that you have managed your expenses in the past, because we always take a look at the personal before we start looking at the business. And you want to make sure that that you have, I guess, a strong history. You want to make sure that if you know that you're fairly new, come in with a partner to make sure that you have additional strength to support you when it comes to your business plan. You may not get all that you want in the beginning, but you may be able to get a start. And as Adi said earlier, is don't give up. Continue to push forward, but make sure that you come prepared with a business plan, good credit history, and understanding that you may be declined at the beginning, but there is always opportunity to move forward.
Brian, so there's been Adi, before you jump in, we have some more questions coming in. I think these are important questions. One of them is around credit. So the question is for who can those who don't have the best credit reach out to for help to get their credit to a point where they can successfully apply. Who are the resources, or what are the resources for those to get ready? I think it goes back to the point about what do you do next if you reject it the first time. Ade, I don't know if you want to maybe jump in, and Brian, I think you probably also have some ideas then.
Yeah, Yannick, thank you for that question. Very, very good question. Most especially when you are starting off without any history, like startups. The money is going to the owner of the business. We're giving the money in trust, irrespective of how great the ideas may be. So if the credit is bad, it's a big question mark on that. What you need to do, okay, this is just what you can consider. There are a lot of ways to do this. You don't need to pay somebody to do anything. Just call Equifax. This is what I would tell anyone to consider. You have opportunity to order a free report, maybe once a year or once every 6 months. You get, because your banker might not share your report with you. And then when you have this report, then Equifax, the number is there. They're very helpful. They will walk you through from beginning to the end, right? And then you will know the issues. You see that I've been missing my payment. You see that whatever the issue may be, we can't be going into the details because of time. And then you now try to improve that, right? And then over time, I think within 3 to 4, 5, 6 months, depending how complex the complexity of the challenge you're facing or the issue, you should be back to a very reasonable point that a bank can deal with you. And then even if you declare bankruptcy or file for a consumer proposal, which is what I see a lot. Okay, maybe I had so many credit cards before I went into business, and then I was not able to pay, and I filed a proposal. So you can demonstrate to the bank, what you've been doing to put things on the right track and taking control from that point. And I think you'll see improvement in your credit score.
Thank you, Ade. Brian, you want to add to that?
Yeah, the only thing that I would add is overall relationships. So banks also work on relationships. So they take a look at not only what comes in, but also what goes out. So it's important to sort of establish that working relationship by, I guess we would call it franchising yourself with different products and solutions. So they like to see that you have maybe a checkings and a savings, and then see that you have a credit card that you're managing with low utilization. They want to see what the relationship is with the bank as well, to help build up an overall profile. So we really take a look at who you are and how you're managing your finances from all aspects.
Thank you, Brian. There's another question around an age limit. Is there an age limit for the loan? Again, Brian, if you can.
Well, for financing with the bank, it's age of majority in the province where you're applying.
Okay. Okay, but there's no upper limit per se.
No upper limit per se. It's your ability to support the financing.
Support the financing. Yeah. Okay, perfect. There's another question around an age limit. So there's another one, which is again for Brian. Is there a special person to contact for larger funds, like $600,000 to be used in real estate?
When it comes to larger financing, you would be directed to an advisor such as myself, who helps to support with real estate financing, equipment purchasing, agricultural lending. That you would reach a small business account manager. And then if it gets to a threshold that is beyond our limits, because there are different tiers of advisors, then we would coordinate with those accordingly. But initially, you would meet it with an account manager for small business banking, who would assess the overall request, and we'll take the next steps from there.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So I think these are all the questions we receive from the audience. I would now pass it on to Ade for your 30 seconds last takeaways. Yeah.
Thank you, Yannick. I think the advice I will have for would-be entrepreneurs is to, when they approach a bank, they should be ready for no. And they should know that we bankers are very risk averse. And most of us have not even turned around $1,000, not less of 10,000 or 100.
These are all the questions we receive from the audience.
I think there's a feedback there.
There's a feedback. Dr. Olu, can you mute yourself? 30 seconds.
No, I can hear you, Yannick.
Can you mute yourself? Can you mute?
Oh, okay.
Please. Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Okay. Like I said, I don't know what you call there. We bankers are risk averse. We haven't really traveled the road of an entrepreneur. So most of the time we're very conservative. So you should prepare for a no answer at times. And think what I want to leave with entrepreneurs generally is try and understand why your application was turned down. Is it as a result of bad credit? Is it insufficient or unverified income? Or is it because there's high debt to income ratio? Or is it because you don't have a collateral? When you walk away with that reason, then you know what to do to turn it around. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. Thank you, Ade. Thank you, Dr. Olin, for this first section of the webinar today. So I'm going to pass it on to our moderator to introduce, I guess, the second part of our conversation today. And again, I want to thank our panelist and expert, Ade from BDC and Brian from TD. Over to you. Hello?
All right. Thank you so much, Yannick. Really appreciate it. And let me quickly say a quick thank you to all our speakers and Brian Phipps from TD. Thank you so much for joining us as a small business advisor and an account manager. I can imagine what your day-to-day looks like on it, and all the small businesses you handle and manage. And it's such a pleasure to have you on with us today, Ade. Thank you for joining us, Ade Akimbola. Thank you so much. Your huge experience at BDC over the years as a senior executive and a senior manager has really come to play, and we have our group has been a major beneficiary of that in terms of the advisory services you've always provided for us over the years. And at Farm Credit, we're so thankful also because of the new initiatives you're bringing up, which our community definitely can benefit from. So thank you so much, Ade, for joining us today. Yannick, I'm not sure what types of what speech I am expected to make, Yannick, but thank you again for joining us because you're a part of the family. You're always with us at EP Academy and lectures, and the Black Entrepreneurship Initiative is part of your dream coming true. And I know there's a lot of tweaks here and there, but we're getting there as time goes by. So thank you so much, everyone, for staying put, and to all participants on YouTube, on LinkedIn that have joined us today on Zoom. Thank you. Now we'll go straight into the second session. The second session is a session for founders, Black founders. And these Black founders, we usually bring them into the room after we've had this Q&A with experts and so on. We love to bring our founders into the room, doing great things in the Black community, particularly because of the COVID pandemic. And we see that some of the founders have been able to pivot their businesses over the last few months. Not only have they survived the pandemic, because I believe we're pretty close to the end of it all, but they're growing and they're scaling, and they've also accessed some help, some support, some facilities. And so in the next couple of minutes, about 35, 40 minutes, we're going to stay with them, ask them a few questions about what they've done. They're going to share from, a few of the things that they've done so far. So I'm going to introduce them. And I believe Monica is in the room with us today. Monica is our business development manager at Casa Foundation. And so she's going to be the moderator for this particular session. She'll be asking each of our founders a few of the questions. But first, let me introduce the founders. Temi Ologbenla is the founder of Temi Bakes, and that's in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Temi started a business, and I'm sure she's going to tell us a little bit about how she pivoted, how she grew out of the 9-to-5 scene and then took a leap of faith to start Temi Bakes. She's going to share with us how she also survived the pandemic, and then share a bit about what she does and how she does that. She's going to keep it brief, and then we have a few questions that we've already collated, but it'll be helpful if people, watching YouTube and all the other social media channels can send in a few more questions for them, just to clarify. Roderick Fofo is joining us from Rwanda. In the last, just shortly before the pandemic, I believe Roderick had to get out of the country. And so he was in Rwanda, and then he started his own business too. But while he was here, he facilitated a group and a community of continental African professionals called the Afro Connects. And whilst he was in Toronto here managing that particular group, he was also able to, mentor a lot of people, facilitate investments for a group of other people. And so today I welcome you both, Roderick coming in from Rwanda, Temi coming in from Halifax, and Monica, over to you. The panel is open now.
Thank you, Dr. Olu. I would request...
You can keep a video. Yeah.
I would request each founder to introduce themselves.
Dr. Olu, can you mute yourself? Okay, thank you.
Or shall we just start with the questions? which I would like to throw up to all the startups, all the founders, that what resources did you start with when you initiated your business? Was it capital, staff, and how did you access it? How did you get it? What were the challenges?
I'll start. Hi, everyone. My name is Timmy, and I own Timmy Bakes in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Okay, so how did I start? That was the first question, right? So for me, I based a lot of my financial resources on 9 to 5, and then as well as help from family members. So that's how I started. So I never got a loan from a bank or anything. And with staffing, you just ask people around, right? People that have staff, how did you do it? A lot of like Indeed or, like I said, referrals, posting on social media works as well. So those two things have been really helpful for me. I hope I answered your question. Now over to you, Rodrigue.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Greeting from Kigali in Rwanda. And happy to be here. Amazing work from Olu. You are always a true inspiration for us here and abroad, and also in Canada, in terms of movement, in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of really put our community at in action. Really, I really admire that in you. So for me, my name is Rodrigue, as you might know. I'm a software engineering from Ottawa University back in 2004, and worked for IBM, worked for Nortel as software designer. And I left Nortel in early 2009 to co-start a venture with a good friend of mine. It was a cooking recipes video from the best chef around the world. So we built a web platform where we showcase those videos for free. And in return, we earn revenue through advertising, kind of. So it was kind of mini YouTube then, back in 2009. So eventually we didn't have funding. We bootstrapped, friend and family. In the span of 3 years, we became number 3 worldwide, the most popular food website in the world, after allrecipe.com, after Food Network in the States. So that's how really my entrepreneurial career took off. So we grew the company. I was the chief operating officer, and we grew the company from him and I to 20 people in Ottawa, 15 in the States, 300 in Asia. And in our peak, we were earning like 5 to 7 million yearly in ad revenue back then. And after running for 6 years and a half, I exited that venture, moved to Silicon Valley in California to launch my second venture. And while I was there working on my venture, I had a chance to meet Elon Musk. So him and I have a 5-minute private one-on-one conversation. I met Steve Wozniak from Apple. I met Mark Zuckerberg 2 days before the IPO in May 2012. And Valley teach me what it takes to build that ecosystem, access to innovation, right? So people think that it's just only engineer or it's not only university. It's a mix and a lifestyle, basically. And while I was there delivering my idea, I realized that few of my friends in California were moving from California to move to Africa to launch startups. So when I saw that trend, then I started questioning what's going on there, basically. So my wake-up call for Africa was in 2012 in California. When I realized that, and I moved back to Canada to create a small angel investment company where we invest back then, since then, on tech startup across the continent. So I'm happy to say that Casa Insight from Yannick was one of our first venture too that we invest in back then. So over the past 9 years, we've been investing across the continent, 45 startups in total, totaling $2 million, out of which 5 are really taking off. While I'm here in Rwanda, so I know at a certain point I have to be physical on the continent, but I never know what year and what country, basically. Last year in January, 4 Canadian investors asked me, Rodrigue, you know what? Bring us to Africa. We want to witness those opportunities also and see how we can invest into it. So I brought it into 5 countries. And the last country was in Rwanda. And that was my first time ever here. So when I landed here, I saw a country organized, structured, zero corruption, more pushing in the digital space, and a country of, I was so amazed to see that. I would say to myself, you know what? Maybe this is where I'm going to set up my African base, basically. So I went back to Toronto. I brought my stuff here in March, and then that was the story. So when I moved here, then I launched WACI because we were missing on the continent an organization that can train, give hope, give the tool to African next generation of talent that they can take on digital and technology project, basically. So that's why I launched WACI last year. We are growing 20 staff here and in Ivory Coast, in Cameroon, and also in Canada and US. And we just created 2 months ago, WACI Canada, the branch of WACI, or our company in Canada as well. So we are closing next month $100,000 US seed round at 2.5 million valuation to excel across Africa and hire more diaspora returning who is coming back and also expand to more countries and so on. So I'm happy to share my journey, to learn from you guys. And yeah, that I'm so excited to be here and happy to learn from everyone and share also my story too as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Rod. That was really amazing story and very inspiring. And well, I would like to ask you, since you have so much of experience, what challenges did you face or are you facing, which you want to share with us?
Yeah, a couple of challenges. So one of my major challenges is that I'm not sleeping because we don't have opportunity. I'm not sleeping because how can I find the right talent? So moving back on the continent, you have to learn, you have to adjust, you have to know how people think with mindsets completely different. So how my challenge is always, how can I find the next great talent that would join me, that belief, that vision, that would join me to can help us develop much more across the continent. I believe that African talent matter, and African talent, we should give them an opportunity. We should give them a chance to show that it's also possible, right? So I want to have many phone call like this founder in London, UK, where he called me after we delivered a project to him. He told me, Rodrigo, are you sure that you are talent in Africa or in Canada? I told him, no, this is an African talent made product, basically. We want to hear more of those examples and change the narrative as well, that African talent can deliver quality. So.
Thank you, Rod. Tammy, do you want to add anything?
Yes, I would certainly say staffing is an issue. And I guess in regards to finding people that align with your values, I'll give an example of a VA I hired, and she was basically using so she had another job and she's using her company's like Zoom links and stuff, to book meetings. I'm like, no, that's wrong, right? So, sometimes, yes, you can find people in the market, but to find people that are right for you, that align with your values is a big thing. Another thing, with COVID was logistics, getting my inventory to Halifax on time, with all the delays. So that was a major issue for me. So, because I was used to more leaner processes, but now, so we're now learning to have more like safety stock, on hand, different things like that, just to create more of a buffer for us so that we're not surprised anymore if something similar to the situation arises again.
Thank you, Tammy. And I would like to ask, were you able to pivot your businesses during COVID? Can you tell us how?
Sorry, could you please repeat that? I missed it.
I'm sorry. Were you able to pivot your business during the COVID time?
Was I able to survive?
Yeah. Were you able to?
Do you want to get that or should I get it first?
Yeah, go ahead, Timmy. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes. So thankfully for me, I already had, multiple streams in my business. So even though some things shut down, there was still income coming in. So that was very helpful. But COVID also gave me the opportunity to, I guess with COVID came, more people starting up their businesses, people realizing, what, this one job, doesn't cut it, right? And more people starting businesses. So then they would come to me for coaching, right? Okay, I've been doing this for about 7 years. So you've been doing this for 7 years. How did you do it? How are you still in the business? How are people still buying from you? So I think COVID, forced me, because it's something I always wanted to do, forced me to start, mentoring and coaching people. So I would say, yes, thankfully I've been, so for example, how I've been able to, stay afloat in business. I've always had a website with like an online store. And in Halifax, it wasn't so common. In fact, a lot of people didn't really have a good website. If they had one anyways, it'd be like a Facebook or an Instagram page. But, mine had everything, including an online store. I used to call it like an Amazon for cakes. You place your orders by Wednesday, you have it by Saturday. So you can imagine COVID comes along, you cannot go out, but you can still get your cakes because people are still going to celebrate birthdays, right? So you just place your order online. I didn't have the downtime everybody else had, right? Because they had to start building up websites from scratch. I already had mine in place, so that gave me an advantage. So I guess, just, always trying to think one step ahead has always helped me. And it certainly helped me during COVID. Thank you.
Thank you, Temi. Rod, do you want to add anything? Your experience?
Yeah, well, the good thing is that the venture that I launched here was just at the middle of COVID. So, I mean, and also as a outsourcing company opportunity in Africa, there's no, it didn't affect us basically. So as digital, as technology company, there's no, we weren't affected by the COVID at all, basically. Yeah, so all good.
Thank you, Rod. I would also like to ask you what lessons or what you want to say to other Black entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs to access any funding available or, to get themselves ready for any resources, to introduce their business to the world, to the investors. So what can you, tell them?
Well, from my experience back in 2009, when we launched our first venture, and we approached the bank. RBC was one of them. TD was one of them. Eventually, they turned us down, right? Because we didn't have any track record. We didn't have, we were still at the early stage. So the lesson learned from that process was that when you start business, eventually we need to, we need to take some time to build some track record enough in order to approach investor, especially with the bank, right? Where they want to see what's your track record, what you have done as revenues. Are you making profit? Are you, those things we didn't have back then, right? So take time to build some track record, put some data around it. And first off, don't even approach your institutional or those ventures. So tap into the friend and family. That's what we bootstrap. Basically, in our case, we bootstrap friend and family loan. That's how it helped us to reach the point where we were in the position that we can say, okay, we have enough history. We have enough history that we can go to the bank and also institutional investor to seek for funding. So first, try to bootstrap if you can and build some track record and some data enough to convince the bank or institutional investor later on.
Temi, do you want to share your experience?
Sure. Yes, I definitely agree. Track records. I would say, keeping your receipts. Having proper what's it called? Like what's the word? Like filing your taxes. It's amazing what I'm finding now that people, didn't used to file their taxes, right? And of course it's now too late, right? If you like even with grants, they want to see proof that you've been doing these things, or even registering your business. Some people haven't registered their businesses. They're just like, oh, but it's a hobby. Mm-hmm. And now, the loans and grants are coming. You cannot get any money because your business isn't legal, right? So I would say yes, definitely having a track record helps. Proper bookkeeping and make sure your business is registered, basics. So yes, thank you.
I would like to ask both of you, have you ever tried to apply for any small business loans, and did you receive them, or did you face any kind of challenges?
Yeah, in our early age, the beauty about, as a founder, you have to have information. So I remember back in our early days, I think we used to have, there were more than 100 government, federal, municipal program for startups. So we didn't have that at the beginning until after the first year, someone told us, hey, look, you guys should maybe figure out a way how you can benefit from those different programs. So I think we got out of almost 60 programs that we applied, we got three of them. One of them, for example, it was for the government to pay half of the intern that we're hiring. we will pay the remaining, something like that. Or it's a different program that we got access to. So it's all depend on you at what stage you are and what you are looking for. But I guess in Canada, there's a lot of, it always a program where they're to assist and a founder in any way. You just have to find the information. That's the main challenge. Find the right information and use it and apply, basically.
Thank you, Rod. Temi, do you want to add?
Yes, so I personally have never applied for a loan. Like I said, a lot of it was from, money that I have saved and then friends and family. But I would say I've applied for grants. So, grants are different. You don't need to pay it back, right? So I love grants. So I have applied, so especially during COVID, a lot more grants came up. And I would say ways I was able to find out about the grants were through, organizations like this one. I know, joining the email list, guys, if you're listening, join the email list because they always send out the information on, oh, here's a grant that's coming out, here's a loan that's coming out. I would also say some in my community as well. Lots for like Black entrepreneurs as well. Lots for youth came up. So that's how I was able to find out. So a lot of networking, putting your ear to the ground. Entrepreneurship can be lonely, especially if it's not something that people in your family understand. So it's good to find fellow like-minded people as yourself, and join such groups and learn from them. And then you will definitely find out when these things come up.
Also, I remember so when we start, TD said that we didn't have an track record. After 2.5 years, when they saw the transaction, the bank account, I think they offered us 1 million line of credit after our third year and so on. So they were the one coming to us, not us coming to them, basically. After they saw that we were on good shape.
Thank you so much, both of you, for your amazing experiences. It looks like a lot of questions coming to you, but I think your experience and your information you're sharing with so many entrepreneurs all around. So I have just a few more questions to ask you. What is the role of mentorship in your business surviving the pandemic?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Mentorship.
Sorry, it's breaking up. It's breaking up a little bit. I didn't get the question. Can you repeat it, please?
I want to say, what is the role of mentorship during this time of pandemic? Survive.
Your audio's sounding a little, but it says, what is the role of mentorship?
Yeah, mentorship is key. It's very key. And I think what I've done without mentorship, I don't think I will have maybe achieved what I achieved. And it started way early, even before the venture. Even when I was in Rwanda University, they have a program where a student can reach out to someone senior in the field and start and create a relationship, a mentorship program. So, and when we start our first venture, some of those people who were mentoring me from the university were also in our board and also continuing advise me and advise us in different areas. But you have to find the right mentor and the right fit as well, right? So a specific skill that you want to develop, a specific skill you want to learn from someone who has more than 20-year experience that can share with you, guide you, position you in a strong position that will help you to save time, that will help you to do it better, basically. Mentorship is the key. And that's what I've been doing. And also that I myself too, I've been also providing to many startups in Canada, but also across the continent as well. It's a key. Mentorship. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine, Nigerian, 2 years ago, we created this concept called mentor-driven capital, a capital through mentorship. Because people think that it's money, investing is not only money, it's also time and knowledge and skill that you are sharing. So there's a way of getting capital through mentorship, and it's very important. So mentorship is the key. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I certainly agree with Rod. Mentorship is very important. Honestly, it saves you so much time. So many mistakes can be avoided, right? And, why would you want to make those mistakes if somebody can hold your hand and guide you and say, I did it this way and it was wrong. I suggest you do it this way instead. So I definitely agree that, it's a very important role. If you can get yourself a mentor, do so. And it's not just and be appreciative of the person's time, right? So make good use of it and actually take the steps that are advised, right? So don't just, listen, but I'll also apply.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
that's
totally
good.
agree with both of you. Next question is, without physically visiting your clients for 14 months, how did you scale up? Especially, I think, for Temi.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like I said, I have a digital shop, an online shop for my cakes. So it's so the way I would describe it, it's not 100% custom. So before COVID, a lot of my work was, so let's say about 70% was custom, with the weddings and big birthdays and stuff, right? And corporate. But with COVID, the 40% became, the 30% became the 70% essentially, right? So it was just more of, curbside pickup, no contact deliveries, things like that. So that's how we made it work. So there was no need for like a face-to-face per se. For weddings, though, weddings was different. There were no weddings, but people were still, booking their dates for, so then it was 2020, so for 2021, 2022. So what I started doing was cake tasting boxes. So instead of having face-to-face with the couples, I started putting like, different cake flavors in boxes, and then I could have it couriered, or we can do the contactless pickup. So that's how I made it work for my business. And then with that, we would do phone calls or Zoom afterwards. So yes, so that's how I was able to pivot the wedding aspect of my business.
Wow. Temi, I also have one more question for you. Mm-hmm. How did you manage your, work-life balance?
Mm-hmm. How did I manage my work-life balance?
Because especially for women, it's difficult,
Yes, on top of being pregnant, yeah, that was fun. How did I manage it? Honestly, for me, you just have to be committed to it, to whatever you're doing, right? And one thing I love to do is time boxing. I don't know if you've heard of that. So basically you say, okay, so let's say, what's today, the 3rd? Today from 11 to 12 or 11 to 12:30, don't make it too long, maybe 2-3 hours max. I want to focus on this, right? So I want to focus on my business. I want to focus on my family. I want to focus on cleaning the house, meal prep, whatever it is, right? And just staying committed. A lot of people, they just, we all make this big plans, and then you pick up your phone and then you go on Instagram and then you're lost for 5 hours. Don't do that. Right? We all have the same 24 hours in the day. Just, just be more disciplined. I think that's, where a lot of us lack, because it's just more convenient to lay in bed and, scroll on your phone. You can also time box the phone, your phone time. Okay, I want to treat myself after everything else is done. I want to treat myself in the evening to some social media. So that's how I've made it work for all these years.
Thank you so much, Jane.
Yeah, no worries.
Rod, how did you manage your international business between Canada and Rwanda?
Yeah, my dear, I just adapt. I just adapt, right? So different time zone and 6-hour difference. And also most of our clients are from Vancouver and California, which is even further, I think 9 hours ahead, right? So we adapt basically. So I sleep usually in average 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Kigali time. I mean, I will have late meeting in California or in Toronto based on that. I just adapt basically. So I sleep late some days, most days, and sometimes I have a nap during the day to catch up on what I miss during the night, basically. So I just adapt basically, and also hire key business dev people in those geography. So for example, in Texas, I have one business development. And also in California, also in Canada, and Toronto and Ottawa, there's some business there for our business too, right? They can take care and handle local client based on the time zone. So before reporting to me, it was basically.
So was it just adapting time zones, or was it also to adapt to the business cultures? Different countries do have, a bit of a different business culture.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. Also adapt both, definitely. And the culture is even more important too as well, right? You want to understand the language of those people. What's the approach? What time do they usually work, right? So we don't want to have a meeting past 6 p.m., right? Whereas in the culture, after 5 p.m., the office closed, right? So those are the things that you have to take into account as leader. You have to understand and take into account, basically.
So Rod, what is your advice to, new entrepreneurs? How to attract partners or resources?
Yeah, Monica, good question. From my experience, I would say I strongly believe that the vision is the vision drive everything in life. The why, the reason that we start what you're doing. If you define well your why, your vision is clear, bold, and really straightforward. I think that's good enough to people who believe into the idea that will come to you naturally. If they feel like they want to be part of the movement that you're creating, the venture that you're creating, it will come basically. Have a strong foundation, through our vision and why you're starting that. Why someone will believe in you? Why someone will come to work with you? Why someone will invest in you? Why? Everything starts from there. When it's well defined and that connect with your story, that connect with who you are, your character, and so on, naturally, everything will flow. Everything will flow. So have a strong why. I have a good why that define who you are, what your aspiration, right? And when you speak to people will feel it. Oh my God, this guy is up to something, right? I want to hear more. I want to learn more about him. I want to be part of what he's doing because, all those things matter.
Yeah, you are so right, Rod. Being a visionary and believing in your vision is so important. Just one last question to both of you. Any, things that entrepreneur should learn from, two major things from your experience that entrepreneur should learn?
Yeah, go ahead, Timmy, sister.
So two major things or two major lessons essentially, right? So I would say one thing is, like I mentioned before, be organized, so with the bookkeeping, time management, it just boils down to commitment, right? If you have a dream and, write down your plan, if that would help, right? Write down your plan, have a timeline. Okay, you know what, for the first cuts, it can seem, dreams seem so overwhelming, right? So break it down into, small chunks. There's a saying that one of my mentors says is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. We're not eating elephants here, but just so just make everything, turn it into like little actions. Okay, this huge plan, how do I break it down into small steps? And then it doesn't seem as overwhelming. And I would say find a support system. Don't do it alone. It can get really lonely. Just have like-minded people that you can talk to, brainstorm with, and mentor to guide you, whatever the case may be. So those are the two things I would share.
Thank you,
Over to you, Rod. My pleasure.
Yeah, I think you stress out the more important way. And also, as you say, it's a lonely journey. Remember, this is not one time. This is a long term. This is a marathon, right? Knowing that it won't be easy. It won't be simple. It won't be beautiful sometimes. You have to be able to accept that and live with it, right? So again, team matter enough, right? So be able to tackle yourself and be around people who can believe in you and support you, get a good talent around, seek help out there, right? So to mentorship, to connection and business event like this one and so on. So it's a package of many things basically. But at the end of the day, you are the one leading the boat. And you are the one who believed in that idea than any other one. So you have to always carry on and always see the future in front of you, despite hard time and so on.
Absolutely right. Thank you, Rod. Then thank you so much to my panel today. Ben, wonderful having you with us. Thanks, Temi, founder of Temi Bakes. Thanks, Rod, founder of Voicey. It was wonderful having you with us. Wonderful sharing your experiences. Now I will hand over to Dr. Olutin. Do you want to add any comments before I hand over to Dr. Olutin?
I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Rod, it's great to meet you virtually.
Likewise. And it also is very important, my dear. It's very important that we share our story. It's very important we come together as a group to see what's going on, create a synergy and so on. We need more initiative like this one. Thank you, kudos to Dr. Olu for this initiative. We need more of those, right? So because there's someone out there in Brampton or in Orawa who just needs some information that will help him to drive his business and so on. It's only through this platform that we can make that happen. We can enable that, really. So kudos to Dr. Olu. So let's keep pushing. And as I told you, if there's anything that I can do to support, I'm here. I'm coming back home in 2 months so we can still figure things out.
Thank you, Roderick. Now I will hand over to Dr. Olu, President of Casa Foundation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for this session. Thank you so much, Monica. I really appreciate that. And Tammy and Rod, thank you so much for joining us on the panel today and sharing your insights and your experience with our audience. It's such a pleasure to have you both. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of the panel session number 2 for the Black founders, the young people in our midst who are doing great things and who we can all learn great things from. Today, we will wrap up. The program is supposed to end at 1:45, and so we're right on time. And thank you for managing that time. We really appreciate it. Now, let me quickly say today, ladies and gentlemen, that for some of the reasons, some of the questions that have been answered today on this call by the bankers and by the small businesses, they are so critical to our growth and development. Definitely we know, and that's why a lot of you took time off this holiday, because it's a holiday actually in Canada, a long weekend, and so we know a lot of people are out of town, but I know a lot of people decided to come in and still listen in today. So we thank you all for coming. I do know that from some of the questions and inquiries that have been made, online, those ones watching on YouTube and the other social media channels, a few people still have a lot of questions, particularly relating to when exactly will Phipps, I heard questions like, when exactly will Phipps come out and tell us the terms of this loan? We need to know. Somebody even asked me a question as to, is it somebody said 16%. And I said, well, that can't be Canada, okay? So yes, it's Black Entrepreneurship Loan Fund, but 16% won't happen around here. So perhaps we would clarify, definitely we would clarify that. And I'm sure some of these terms will be coming out shortly. And we'll be able to, communicate with you online, through the email channels and some of those ones that are able to sign up today, on a support service platform. What I would say on this call today is that Casa Foundation has decided, as part of its support services to our community, to launch the Black Entrepreneurship Initiative, which is part of the Founders Roundtable that we're having today. And the Q&A will continue, definitely. But the support services we're launching today is in addition to some of the support services we offer to the community. So some of our enterprise groups have been offering training services, EP Academy, and so on before now. Well over 3 years now. But we're going to customize this for the Black community. And we're getting a few other support partners. Some of the banks are supporting us to offer these services, to train, on so many other issues on how to build your business building workshop sessions and things like tax clinics, where you make sure that you put, you get connected to the right professionals to file your taxes, little things, but they are major things when it comes to business management. A few people, some of the businesses have been running for 5-6 years. However, they've never filed their taxes. So when it comes to accessing loans, like the type that has been introduced now, that's a major problem. That's a major, red flag. 5 years in business, no filing of any tax. How do you do that? And so these are some of the things that we will be bringing across to you. They are already happening at EP Academy, but at a cost. So we're going to see how we can get some of these additional partners, some of the bankers and some of the other institutions that have been working with us over the months throughout this pandemic also, to see how we can make that available, digitally and free to our Black community. So that's what we're working on now. And we know we have about 2 of them on board already with us. We're going to get maybe 3 more, so that we can reach as many groups and communities as much as possible. So that's one part of it. And so I think our team will drop a link in the chat room so that people can actually sign up to indicate where they believe they have gaps. Is it in tax clinics? Is it how to brand? Is it in, in networking? Is it in scaling? Or is it even in attracting the right customers? Because that's actually what engenders growth and long-term sustainability. So these are very critical points for us to know, but the starting point is first, we incorporate. Second of all, we write our plan. We write our plan, we identify all the nooks and crannies based on research. Where should we be? How should we go to the market that is actually, mapped out for us? And who are the partners that we should be going with? These are some of the things that the banks would want to hear. A few of the other questions that I've read today, I believe we would have another session because I think we have this every 6 weeks now. Since this was announced, so that as many people as possible can benefit. I believe we will be able to answer some questions online and by email. And then at the next session, we'll have to bring in more people to address some of this. The issues of interest rate, the issues of the terms of the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Fund, they're not issues that our team can deal with immediately until we get the green light from the people administering the loan, from the government and the other banks. So we would need to be patient. The good thing is there is no deadline. So it's open-ended. 2 years from today, you still have the loan. You still have the opportunity to apply. So we will take it step by step. And I think it behoves on us, first and foremost, to put our books and our business in order, the structure, the policy, the framework. It's very important to do that. When we do that, then we can actually, there's no point rushing to apply for a loan if we're not ready. And the good thing is that there's no deadline. I think that's, for me, that's the best news so far. So I would encourage everyone to get signed up on some of those links on the chat room and to join as many meetings being offered for free in this, in this particular period, so that we can learn more on how to structure this. So here we launch. Today we launch, the Black Entrepreneurship Initiative Support Services. I think somebody's been able to drop the links in the chat room. Please share with as many of your groups as possible so they can sign up for this and then get some of the support services that they need for their businesses. We do appreciate that. Next month, the government of Canada will be joining us. Some of their office departments will be joining us at the next session because we have, there's a new, it's not a new product actually, but it started in January, I believe, of this year or last year. It was announced in January of this year, where Black entrepreneurs and Black startups can actually register to become government contractors. So you become like a logistic provider because they roll out various contracts on a monthly basis in the health sector, in the education sector, in the infrastructure sector. And a lot of Black businesses or Black-led businesses are not even aware, but very few apply for those contracts. And so to become a government contractor, there are specific things you need to put in place. There are, structures around your business because the government of Canada does not purchase any item for itself. It is always allocated to private sector contractors. Because the Black community is not well-versed in this area, they're going to come up and begin some talk with us in our community, the Black community generally, to keep us informed and update us about when the next rollout would be. I believe my understanding is that less than 8% of all applications come from the Black community. And so, of course, I need to confirm that, but they will be joining us to make an announcement in this regard so that as we're looking to get loans, some already know what they're going to utilize the loans for. Some don't even know, but they have this entrepreneurial, mindset. They want to trade, they want to buy and sell, they want to supply. And so this is also another opportunity that the government of Canada is providing. And so we will get the email in this regard across to us so that, yes, we may have the businesses we're running. Perhaps we're not interested in this, but we're going to access loans to make it happen. But even if we don't, and our interest is in the area of supplying or becoming a logistics supplier, a contractor, or a government supplier, then that meeting is also for you, and you can also inform your friends. You can always sign up for some of these meetings. They are all listed on our website at entrepreneurspoint.com under programs, on entrepreneurspoint.com. That's our social, that's our enterprise. It's not Casa Foundation.ca, that's nonprofit. The business side of things is on entrepreneurspoint.com. And all the information that you require, you can always get from all of these websites. So please feel free to join us again at the next session. And I believe that will be all. It brings us to the end of this meeting today. Thank you again to all our speakers. Thank you to all the organizers today, all our team from the office, Monica's team, and all the other groups of people supporting us. Thank you so much. Let's have a wonderful day, and see you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you.